Welcome, everybody, to Wager Talk Today, the best daily sports betting show on the planet. I'm Lawrence Presman, your host, and we've got an incredible lineup, tons of betting action coming your way, and lots of different sports. Steve Merril joining us right off the bat. He's going to talk about the Marlins at the Braves, now minus 200 for Atlanta. Who's right in the thick of things, and they're going to be playing Miami. Steve has a bet for you on that game, as well as the Rockies and the Angels. Jesse Schule filling in last-minute notice. He's going to look at Canadian football. The Lions and the Bombers are playing each other, and he's also got a regular season win totals bet on Penn State. We're going to end the show with Kyle Anthony, and he's got 2 UFC bets. Before we get into any of that, huge pat on the back to the Prez. Gave you guys the female Canadian soccer team 2 days ago to beat Colombia. Ticket cashed. I've given you guys another Olympic bet as well prior. Noah Lyles plus 175, now 150 to win the 100 meters. I hope you guys are taking my advice. Steve Merril joining us. Welcome to the show, my friend. Thanks for jumping in on Monday with literally 1 second notice as my computer conked out totally.
Yeah, it was actually about 10 minutes notice because I saw you conk out the first time, and I was about to say, well, if you need my help, I'm here. But it's like, he'll just restart. So I was warming up in the bullpen already just in case. But yeah, the golf cart got me to the mound pretty fast. Dan Alexander, Joe Ranieri, they're always doing a great job behind the scenes.
That they are. One more than the other. We just won't discuss which.
Oh, my goodness.
No, that's one of my stupid things. It's like, I love all my kids except one, but I won't say which. Steve, let's get into some MLB betting. We had Adam Trigger on yesterday, and he is not a fan of this Braves team right now. He actually thinks that they are a fade moving forward. And here they are, a 2-1 favorite against Miami, and rightfully so. This Atlanta team just came off a series with Milwaukee. They won 2 out of 3. They won 4 of their last 5. They're really, they had a slump, but they have turned it around since then, and they're playing this Miami team that can't get out of their own way. How are you betting this game?
Yeah, so MLB First Pitch, of course, is live at 11 a.m. Eastern every day, right before Wager Talk Today. I just guest hosted for Dan. I'll be doing so again tomorrow. And we did break down all 5 games on the card, Tokyo Brandon and Adam Trigger, as you mentioned. And Adam said the same thing on the show an hour ago, that he thinks the Braves are overrated. He hopes the public keeps betting them because he doesn't think they're going to make the playoffs. And on the surface, that might sound crazy, but they're only 1 game up right now for the wild card. So they're only in the playoffs by 1 game right now. So they definitely might miss the postseason. However, I disagree. I think they will make it. And, this game versus the big picture is 2 different things. But I wanted to talk about the Braves here for a couple reasons. First of all, they made a nice acquisition at the trade deadline, picking up Soler from the Giants a couple days ago. Let's back up to 2021. They're more than 10 games below 500 halfway through the season. They lose Acuna for the rest of the year. And Soler, they pick up. They go on to win the World Series, and he gets World Series MVP. Now, I'm not going to say history is going to repeat itself exact, but I do think that was a huge catalyst and spark for this team. I do think it'll help them make the playoffs, by the way, but I also think they're a play-on team here in the near future because of it. And this is the first of a weekend series against a bad Miami team. There's only 3 teams in the National League that are more than 6.5 games out of the wild card. Unfortunately, my Washington Nationals now 9 out. It looks like they're slipping. But Joe Ranieri, Drew Martin's Miami Marlins, they've been double digits out all year. The Rockies are the only team with a worse record right now in the NL. So I don't think the Braves will overlook this weaker opponent in Game 1. I like to play favorites in Game 1 of a series because I think they come focused. Now, yes, at minus 190, it's a little pricey, so we can get it down to minus 1.5 even on the run line. And I do think that works because the total in this one is 8.5 to 9, so we should get some runs. But I'll give a little shout out to the great Dave Koken. Of course, RIP Dave Koken. And Prez, you did a great job on his memorial statement the other day. Dave, I learned this from Dave, and I posted this in the live chat during the show the other day when you were doing that. I started doing baseball shows with him 4 years ago when I came on to MLB, to Wager Talk TV, rather, and the MLB show I did with him a lot. And he pointed this out, and I've used it a lot on the shows. I'm going to use it right here in his memory. You can make your own -1 run line. And of course, back in the day when Dave and I started and you started, you couldn't get -1 run lines. Now a lot of books have them, but if you can't get it still, you can make your own by putting half a unit on the money line, -190, and half a unit on the -1.5 even run line, and boom, you've got the -1, -145 run line. So I actually think that's the way to play this game, and that's in memory of the great Dave Koken, who first pointed it out to me on MLB here on WagerTalk TV. Steve
Merril joining us. Oh yeah. Okay. Well, I'm not going to. I'm just going to move on, but I do want to read. I want to read a comment from Joseph Alvarado. Joseph, thanks for coming into our chat room and being part of these shows. He writes, "Really a bunch of clowns on the other shows. You guys are the professionals." Now, Joseph, we're not here to insult anybody on the other shows, and we certainly don't want to make clowns feel bad. But with that said, we do appreciate that you enjoy our show. You like what we give out, and we really are a bunch of professionals. I mean, it's not easy putting together these shows on a regular basis, and it's not easy finding the best team ever assembled, and that's what WagerTalk is. It is the best sports betting team of experts ever assembled in history. So although I'm not one to insult the other shows, man, all of these guys work hard, regardless of whether they're at WagerTalk or not. They put in their research. They take time out of their day to provide you guys with betting information. And whether you like them or not, they are trying their best. But I do appreciate the kind words in regards to our team. Thank you, sir. Steve, let's turn our attention to the Rockies at the Angels. I'm not going to set this game up. Why don't you just tell us how to bet it?
Yeah, so just 5 games on the baseball card tonight on Thursday. We, of course, broke all 5 down on MLB First Pitch earlier before this show. You can watch the deep dive analysis. But I wanted to touch on this game for a couple reasons. First of all, Rockies, as I mentioned earlier, the worst team in the National League. In fact, there's only one team with a worse record in baseball this year, and that's the god-awful Chicago White Sox. You know, Prez always say that everybody, even the worst teams, win 40% of their games in baseball. Well, Chicago is testing that theory because they're 27-84, a 243 win percentage with only about 50-some games remaining. So they're not going to get to 40%. But the Rockies are testing it as well. They're 39-70, 35.5% win percentage. But as is often the case, huge home road dichotomy with Colorado. They're just 5 games below at home, 24-29. They're 15-41 on the road. And we see this year after year. They always have one of the most, if not the most extreme home road splits, and it's not a fluke. And the reason being is because this is a team that plays in a very unique home ballpark, thin air and altitude. And over the years, they've realized they got to build their roster. If you're going to play 81 of your games at home, you might as well build your roster, ground ball pitchers, guys that can hit fly balls, to take advantage. But they're not a good team, and it shows on the road. Another thing I always point out on the baseball shows is that I like to look at road-only stats because it encompasses all different type of ballparks. Seattle, Petco, San Diego, very pitcher-friendly over the years. Coors Field, obviously, extremely offensively friendly. Colorado, their true numbers show on the road. They're terrible. They're 15-41. So the question becomes, why not just fade them all the time? And I think you do here. Now, obviously, taking the Angels laying juice is probably not your first choice on a baseball card, but I actually did Sports Grid TV Tuesday night with Joe Ranieri and Dave Sherapan, and they asked me about game 1 of this series. And I said, look, I think the Angels won't overlook the opportunity to beat up on a weaker team because LA's having a weak season as well. They have played better offensively in the last month or so, and they put up 10 runs, won that game Tuesday. A little bit of a letdown yesterday, and that showed in a 2-1 loss. Neither team hit the ball well. Now the final of a 3-game series. I think this is a focus spot for Anaheim, and I have no problem fading the worst road team in baseball over the last decade at a short price. So take a look at the LA Angels -120, and even ugly teams win at least 40% of their games, and the Angels qualify in that situation, and I think they take advantage of a really bad Colorado team tonight.
Yeah, I mean, this just makes so much sense to me, Steve. Out of the 2 picks that you're giving out, I like the Angels the best. And I think you can fade the Rockies on the road blindly till the end of the season and make money. Steve, what's going on with football? Do you have any plays up for the clients? Do you have any win-loss future bets? Any thoughts on tomorrow's or tonight's Hall of Fame game?
Yeah, not sure we'll get involved tonight. Low total as always. It's around 30 and a half, 30, 30 and a half, 31. And by the way, shop around on preseason numbers. Both 30 and 31 are available right now if you look at the WagerTalk Live odds screen. And we don't talk about those a lot of the regular season, Prez, as being key numbers, but 31 is a very key number. I mean, just do the math, right? 17-14, right? 21-10. I mean, so these numbers are sharper than people realize. I've dialed back my preseason picks a little bit in recent years. When we started in the 90s, it was all about information. I just wanted to know who was playing and we could run with it. Now everybody has the information and you got to dig a little bit deeper. Also, the 3 preseason games versus 4 has taken away some of the value because we don't get the dress rehearsal game in that third game like everyone used to do. Some guys mix it up now, second game versus third game. One thing I will point out, though, both of these teams, I believe, will play a 4th game because they're playing a week early. Those teams normally perform pretty good in the second game, but as is often the case, the odds makers have caught on to that the past few decades. So you're going to see both these two teams probably as decent-sized favorites next week. There is opportunity in the preseason, but I kind of pick my spots, and that's the beauty of being an all-access client because, yes, we're focusing on baseball right now, but if I see something in the Olympics or I see something in the NFL preseason, I'm going to throw it out there, and we have a fantastic special right now at WagerTalk.com. Today is August 1st, and if you sign up right now for a 2-month package, you get the entire month of August for free. So it's buy 2, get a third month for free. You see it right there. We got a lot of specials coming up, but this is the one we're running right now on August 1st through the 11th. And yes, you could wait until August 11th, and you'll still get the rest of August free, but you're missing over a week of best bets. So why delay? If you're going to do it August 1st tonight and get all of August for free. That's almost a $300 discount. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. No promo code needed. You go to my page right now and you save almost $300 instantly when you get a 3-month package for the price of 2. That gets you all the way through October, August, September, and October. And oh, yes, I will have plenty of football in September and October and late August with college and pro football. You're getting almost half the season right there. And the rest of baseball, 2 months, 3 months for the price of 2. No promo code needed. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com.
Brother, before I let you go, you playing pickleball? You pickleballing
at all?
So
I tried it about a year and a half ago on vacation, and I'd always kind of poo-hooed it, but it is fun. It is very easy to play, and it is taking over the world, man. I'm trying to catch one of these fights. I haven't seen one in person where the tennis people fight the pickleball people. It's kind of like West Side Story, but our local tennis courts up at the park up here years ago all became pickleball. So it is a phenomenon. And I could see you liking it, Prez. It is a fun sport. It's very easy to pick up.
The strange thing about it is I'm so with you. Like I was I don't want to say against it, but you see all these old people playing it. And when a 55-year-old man sees old people doing something, you can only imagine how old they must be. I was trying to stay away from it. Vivian has been playing every single day. And recently I have gone out and started playing it. It is a freaking blast. Like, it's one of the funnest sports to play out of any sport. I love it. So if you guys have not tried pickleball, I recommend it. Like, honest to God, it's just a bloody good time. And lastly, if you get a chance to see the rugby sevens, I think that's the best viewer sport in the world.
I'm with you. I actually DVR'd the replay yesterday at 12:30 Eastern of the Australian USA game because I watched it live. I love by the time frames here because we're 6 hours behind in France. So like the good stuff's on right now, like 11 to 2 Eastern every day. As I'm doing work, I'm just watching the Olympics. And I had that on live the other day. And that was one of the most remarkable wins in any sport I've ever seen by the USA and just everything else about it. So I DVR'd it yesterday to show the rest of the family. They haven't seen it yet, but I want them to watch those last couple minutes. But yeah, Prez, the last couple Olympics, that's been on my radar, is probably my favorite sport. And team handball is up there as well as a sport I've never played but would love to try. And, it's funny you mentioned those because one thing I like doing, and you talked about, Teddy's not here this week. When I guest hosted for you last week, Prez, Andy Lang and I was talking Olympics. I told to Andy and Teddy, I log all the odds because I like to go back and look when I'm watching these live, like who was favorite. And Teddy, then his follow-up is, I'm not watching 30 seconds of the Olympics. Too much football to handicap. Let's look at a big game breakdown. And I've been thinking about that every day as I'm watching this, because it's honestly maybe one of my favorite sporting events.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite sporting events.
And dude, I love watching the stuff that I don't ever watch. I mean, I tried surfing. I have surfed once in my life. I almost had a heart attack. That's a different story. But I tried watching the surfing.
Yeah, those guys are crazy.
I don't understand the judging. It all looked like a mess. I ended up
in Tahiti,
quitting.
man. What's with that?
Yeah.
How can it be in Tahiti? That was a deal breaker for me when Colin Jost, the SNL guy, is like in Tahiti. I'm like, what is going on? It's the Paris Olympics. My geography got very confused there for a moment.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't get through the surfing because I couldn't understand what was going on. I attempted to watch the fencing. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's a little slow.
I don't know who wins. Like anything.
Yeah,
Like it made no sense to me. But rugby sevens? Oh my God, is that an exciting freaking sport? Anyway, brother, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate you on the show. Steve will be hosting for me on Monday. It is a long weekend in Canada. I'm heading up to the cottage in Muskoka. I'll be doing a bunch of pickleball, jet skiing, wave surfing, and hydrofoiling, which is my favorite thing in the world. Real quick, before we bring Jesse Schule on, I got to tell you guys, over at Sports Memo, we've got a $2 play going, R&R totals. Incredible handicapper on a 14-0 baseball run. Won 14 straight games. Tonight he's got a 5% play. It's only $2 over at sportsmemo.com. Make sure to check that out. Jesse Schule joining us. And Jesse, we will talk Olympics and get your thoughts, but right now we got to get into some bettable information because we've messed around for about 7-8 minutes. So let's get right into the Canadian football. The Lions are playing the Bombers, and Winnipeg is a mess. BC is rolling. How do you plan on betting this game?
Well, Prez, it seems like just yesterday I was on this show talking about this game. In fact, I think that was on Tuesday. But I gave out a play on BC. I said they're coming off a bye. They lost their last game going into the bye. At that point, they were a 3.5-point favorite. I said the line looked a little short to me. Looks like I was right again because it's been bet up to 5.5. Money is also coming in on the under. I woke up this morning and saw the first half total sitting at 25.5. That has now been bet down. I still like it. It's been bet down to 24.5, but I still think that's a good play. We've got the two worst offensive lines in the CFL here. We got a Winnipeg team that ranks last in scoring. They're only averaging 20 points per game this season. They've gone under in 7 of their 8 games. And you think of Winnipeg really struggling. Their defense hasn't struggled at all. They're pretty solid on defense. They're only allowing 23 points per game. With the Lions coming off the bye, their defense should be good to go. Now, these teams did play here in Winnipeg in week 3. The final score was 26-24, landing right on the number of 50. However, in the first half of that game, they only scored 20 points. And if you look at Winnipeg's last 2 games, guess how many touchdowns were scored in the first half of those 2 games? 0. It was a couple of 6-6 draws at halftime. I guess you don't say draw in the CFL. A 6-6 tie at the half in both of Winnipeg's last 2 games, both teams with a couple of field goals. And I'm expecting to see a low score here in the first half of this game tonight in Winnipeg.
Jesse Schule joining us, everyone. Guys, if you like what you're hearing, just hit that like button for us, please. It takes 1 second to do that. Also, 164,000 people have subscribed to our channel, WagerTalk TV, best sports betting channel on the planet by far. It's not even close. Tons of incredible content all day long. So if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do so and take a second out of your day to hit that like button. Jesse, college football. Penn State, their win-loss for the regular season is 10. That doesn't give them much room for error. Are you going over or under on this?
Well, this is always difficult, Prez, because when you're picking against somebody's favorite team in college football, you're going to make a lot of enemies. But so Penn State fans might want to turn down the volume, but their season win total sits at 10. I think everybody's a little bit too optimistic about this Penn State team. They begin the season on the road at West Virginia. They're a 10.5-point favorite in that game. I just did a preview that will be published today at WagerTalk TV on that game. I think it's got upset written all over it. I think they could likely lose that first game of the season as a 10.5-point favorite. And I'm looking down their schedule. I see tough road games coming up after this at USC. I know people are down on USC. USC loses Caleb Williams. They still got what looks like a pretty good quarterback there. Lincoln Riley usually has the offense humming. The defense can only get better, one could possibly say. But at home, they could upset Penn State. Same goes for Wisconsin. They got to play on the road at Wisconsin. Yeah, they get Ohio State at home, but is home field going to be enough to take down this Ohio State team that is just stacked? I don't think so. And another tough road game at Minnesota. Minnesota struggled last year because they didn't have a quarterback. They went out and got the leading passer from the FCS. They should be in better shape on offense this year. Their defense is pretty dependable, especially at home. So that's a handful of games. That's 5 losable games, and their season win total is sitting at 10. They lose half of those games, and that gets us to the 9 or 10 total, and that's where I put their ceiling. I think this is a 9 or a 10-win team, so I'm going to go under the win total of 10. But before you chime in, Prez, I just want to – the stat daddy, Ralph Michaels, asked me to give some CFL stats regarding tonight's game. Home favorites of 2.5 points or less, or home dogs this season are 15-4, 79% against the spread. That would favor the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, especially with this line being bet up to 5.5. And home favorites of 3 or more are just 4-9. That's 31% against the spread this season, also pointing in that direction of Winnipeg. My personal opinion on that game, of course, is the under in the first half.
Jesse Schule, everybody. Jesse, Steve and I were talking Olympics. You know, I'm in love with the rugby sevens. Have you any kind of strange sport like solo synchronized swimming that is doing it for you?
I haven't seen it at this Olympics, Prez, but if you haven't seen kabaddi, you got to. I can't even describe it to you.
What is it?
Geez, it looks like kids playing hopscotch, hide and seek, and tag all combined into one. I mean, you'd have to see it to believe it. If you saw a kabaddi match, the first thing that would come to your mind is, what is that? That's what you'd say.
And this is in the Olympics? I've never even heard of this sport.
Actually, it might only be in like the Commonwealth Games. I will look up a clip of a kabaddi match, and I will send it to you. How about that, Prez?
Yeah, do so, but I do not think that is an Olympic sport. With that said, break dancing is an Olympic sport this year. And I don't know if you know this, Jesse, but I was a hardcore break dancer. I mean, dude, look, ready?
I'm sure it surprises no one that I'm not much of a break dancer or dancer in general, for that matter.
I used to do when I was in grade 7, I had the cardboard out, doing my spins. Take a guess what my breakdance name was.
I can't come up with anything.
It was Mr. Cool.
Mr. Cool. I would have never guessed that.
Yeah. I did weddings, bar mitzvahs. I was in competitions. I was a serious break dancer. Oh my, was that a long, long time ago. Guys, Jesse Schule in college football, August and September, 40-12 record, 40 wins and 12 losses over the last 2 years in August and September. Jesse, those are outstanding numbers, 70% win rate. Why August and September? Do you see it better at that time of the year?
I mean, I started putting out videos on WagerTalk TV in mid-July, so I've got like a couple months to do my homework prior to week one, and I'm never going to have that time to be that prepared between week four
Good
and week
point.
five. I'm not going to have all that time to do research and be ahead of the game. Not only that, the bookmakers, they're behind the eight ball as well. We're all trying to figure out what these teams are going to be, and the best of us are going to do a better job of that. By the time we get to week five and beyond, the bookmakers are going to have it so dialed in, so tight, there's going to be very little value to be found. It's going to be slim pickings as far as shopping for value. But right now, over the summer, heading into week one, tons of value on the board still.
Yeah, and guys, Jesse's CFL record this year is 31-16. That's 66%. You add that to his college football record in August and September, and really what it equals is buy his 2-month package. You get a third month free. This is a promo up today. It goes for, I don't remember how long, but just take advantage of it for today. 40-12 college football record the first 2 months of the year, and a 66% CFL record already this year, number one at WagerTalk. Brother, thanks for filling in. We absolutely love having you on the show, and enjoy, keep winning, and we'll see you next week.
Anytime, Prez, anytime.
Okay, so I think we should just call me Mr. Cool from now on. Kyle Anthony, can you do that? Can you please start? Be the first man to call me Mr. Cool?
Is this one of those things where like you call the fat guy slim? You know what I mean? It's like the opposite, you know, it's kind of like, you know what I mean?
That's what they do in Australia.
Is this what your moniker was, you know, your dancing moniker was, or, you know?
Yeah, Mr. Cool.
It sounds amazing.
Dude, I wore the parachute pants. I had bandanas up and down my arms. I had like the ducktail, the Roberto Baggio in the back. I was the coolest dude on the planet.
And then what happened? Why did it end? Where did the career, like, if this is a 30 for 30, how did it end?
Women and pot. And that's how everything ended for me, Kyle. I was an unbelievable runner. I ran, when I was 16 years old, I ran the 10K in 36 minutes. Those are big numbers. I came second in my province/state in cross-country running. I was an incredible runner. I was a black belt judo fighter. I won the Canadians in the under 25 kilogram class. And then I met marijuana and Mary Jane. And everything
all downhill
from there. Yeah, dude. It was like all I cared about was woman and weed, flat out. And my athletic career.
Some things never change, I guess, right?
Yeah, immensely. Yes, exactly. Welcome to the show, dude. We love having you on. We've got a fight card coming up this weekend. And this is a big one. Corey Sandhagen versus Umar Nurmagomedov. I probably screwed that up, but so be it. How are you betting this fight?
So this is the main event of the evening between Umar Nurmagomedov and Corey Sandhagen here. We've got Nurmagomedov 17-0. You know, this kid's a prospect, really looking to be a title challenger soon, relentless wrestling. And you got Corey Sandhagen on the other side here, you know, really phenomenally, you know, well-rounded guy, but more of a striker and a range striker. Now, there is no secret here what's going to be happening for Nurmagomedov with that last name. He's going to look to wrestle, going to look to cage push you, get you down, positionally win, really start to drain his opponent's cardio, bank rounds, and look to, you know, have a submission attempt in there. He's been very lethal once he gets you to the ground. Now, the one thing about, you know, Umar is that he's not going to get away from the game plan. You know, some of these guys, they want to put on a show, you know, they want to go out there and they want to like outstrike the striker. You know, Umar is a guy that's going to shoot. You know, he averages nearly 5 takedowns per 15 minutes. So he's going to really stay with the game plan, stick to it, and get on you. I think one of the most interesting things really about Umar is how he limits damage. This guy is averaging over 5 UFC fights. He's averaging less than half a significant strike absorbed per minute. That is massively low just because he's able to keep you down, hold you there. And that kind of stuff really, nullifies any of the offense that the opponent can get off. But you look at Corey Sandhagen, he's the guy that's, again, great striker, good striking, goes for the legs, goes for the body, mixes it up a lot. And after he had 2 back-to-back losses, he ended up kind of changing a little bit, adding more wrestling to his game plan here. And, over his first 10 UFC fights, he averaged 5 takedowns. Over his last 3 UFC fights, he ended up getting 11 takedowns. Now, I think it's just because he's trying to change things up a little bit. And that wrestling path, doesn't exist on Saturday for him. And I think that really hurts him in this spot here where, when things get tough on the feet, he's able to change it up. He won't be able to do that on Saturday night. So I think that the wrestling will be there. I think the cardio is going to be there. This is going to be 5 rounds. And I think that he's going to be able to really slow down the movement and anything that really Sandhagen can do, get him down, get the submission, or look to kind of keep him there and ground and pound him. So I do like, Umar in this spot here to win inside the distance, getting off the -300 number. It's around +185. And plus, also, you got Khabib in the corner of Umar here. So I think he walks him through it. We just saw that Bilal had Khabib, kind of coaching him on a good game plan. That obviously worked out as well, too. So I think that Umar gets a job done inside the distance.
Where's Umar from?
Dagestan.
Dagestan.
Yeah, probably Dagestan. He's the cousin of Khabib. I believe it's the cousin.
Yeah, well, because I'm looking at his name. I'm looking at his name, and all I'm thinking about is they better not have hyphenated names in that country.
I'm glad that's the only thing you took away from that breakdown. That's great, Prez.
That was where I went. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 letters in his last name. If he marries a feminist, it might get to 24 letters.
That would be tough to put that on a credit card, but
that would be impressive. Kyle, I'm surprised you're not in Paris. Many beautiful women are there. I saw some signs up at the beach volleyball. Where is Kyle Anthony? Why have you not graced Paris with your handsome looks?
It would have been nice. But I have completely, I know like everyone's talking about the Olympics. I have pretty much not watched anything at all. And one of the things they need to start adding is MMA. The fact that they don't have MMA in the Olympics is kind of wild to me. That's as global of a sport as it possibly gets here. But that's pretty much, I haven't been watching it. I'm watching other sports and capping. That's my day consists of.
Well, I mean, if they had to throw out a sport to put MMA in, I mean, how could they throw out fencing or synchronized nonsense or, handball as Steve Merril really likes handball. Is squash and badminton and racquetball in the Olympics? I don't know. I love it, dude. I love watching these sports I never ever get to see. I am all about the Olympics, so I'm really enjoying it myself.
We got like another week left, right? Isn't it quick? It's like another week, isn't it?
I think there's 10, 12 days left. But dude, I get it, man. You got Mary at 12, Susan at 1, Michelle at 4. Take a break, eat, redo. So there's no time for Kyle. Watching the Olympics, and I respect that, Kyle.
Thank you.
So
appreciate
here we got Figueiredo against Vera. How are we betting this match?
All right, so we got Davis and Figueiredo here. He's -145. On the comeback here, you've got Marlon Vera +120. Now, this line definitely tightened a little bit here. That money was coming in on the Vera side. And I think, I get it. You got Figueiredo, he's 36 years old compared to Vera being 31. You've got Vera, who's going to be probably the bigger guy. Well, definitely going to be the bigger guy, going to be the harder hitter. There's definitely some advantages when you're looking at that point. But there's definitely definitely issues with the Vera side that I see. And I think the first thing here is that he is definitely guy that needs moments to win fights. He's not a guy that's going to wow you with volume, work at range, pick you apart. He's pretty much a low volume guy and has these big moments to kind of, either hurt his opponent or really just finish the fight. And over his last 4 fights, real quickly, you do see that it's a consistent thing. We fought Frankie Edgar not long ago. Frankie was probably up 2 rounds to nothing, 3 takedowns. And then late third round or early third round, Vera gets the knockout. He fights Rob Font. Rob Font outlanded him 271 to 159, and yet lost the decision. The reason that Rob lost the decision is due to the knockdowns. There was a couple knockdowns late in each round. It gave Vera the round as he was kind of sitting at distance. Dominic Cruz, another one up on the scorecards, gets knocked out late in the fight, and he's even more or less coming off of a hangover title fight opportunity against Sean O'Malley, where he got his butt kicked. O'Malley outlanded him 230 to 89. Massive fight there where he was able to really look to step up, big opportunity for him, and really got smoked. And I think the other thing here, too, that you got to look at is not only the fact that he needs these big moments, but he really, big time, is a slow starter. He will give off that first round big time. A lot of times you're looking to download information and, pretty much just low volume. This is going to be a 3-round fight. So he's not going to have much time. If he gives up that first round, he either needs to win the next 2 or he needs to go out there and get the knockout again. I do think that Figueiredo can get some takedowns, can outvolume him, can bank positionally, and I do like him here. So I actually think minus 145 is not a bad number on the former champion, and I like Davis Figueiredo in the spot.
Kyle Anthony, outstanding, my brother. What do you got to promote?
So this weekend on Saturday, we have another 5% max play up right now. We're 8-0 on these plays this year, and going for 9-0 on Saturday. Out of the 23 UFC events, we've cashed 18 of them. So really seeing the board well, and we're going to keep it going this weekend.
Excellent stuff. Kyle, in regards to MMA, I've done a little research since you mentioned it, and yes, it clearly should be in the Olympics. But what do you think is the number one sport that isn't in the Olympics that should be in the Olympics?
Number one sport, I mean, I don't know. Why? Did you have an answer, or you're just guessing this completely?
The second most watched sport on the planet, number 2 behind soccer, is not in the Olympics. Name that sport.
You got me.
Cricket. Swinging. Kyle would win that one. Joe mentioned swinging it. Kyle would win that one, Joe. Kyle the Bull Anthony. Anyway, cricket is not in the Olympics, and it is the second most watched sport on the planet.
Handball, but handball's in there, right?
Dude,
it's crazy.
Synchronized swimming is in there. Okay, dancing underwater while holding your breath. But cricket, they had it as a 5-day sport 30, 40 years ago. Then they brought it down to a 1-day sport, and now they have it as a 2.5-hour sport in a 20-over cricket matches. Chaza Angel writes, LOL cricket. Chaza, 2.5 billion people on this planet love cricket, and I love cricket. I think it's one of the most strategic sports on the planet. The only sport where the coach of the team has to play, which I find very interesting. And a sport where you can, and a sport where you could declare, quit batting and get the next team up. An amazing sport, not in the Olympics. Flag football is coming. It'll be in the Olympics next time around. And I promise you, dude, I think flag football is going to be cool. Like,
it's great, but how are they not doing MMA? I mean, it's why it's so crazy. Like that got the push. They're like, fuck this sport. That's crazy.
Okay, crazy. Kyle with the swearing on air. Get out of here, my brother. Thanks for joining us, guys. What a fun show. Love to hear your thoughts about me hosting these shows alone this week. I could have brought Andy Lang in like I did every other time, or Steve Merril. I wanted to go it alone. I wanted more time to talk, and I've enjoyed it, especially not having Teddy here. It's been so freaking peaceful. Anyway, shout out to Steve Merril, Jesse Schule, Kyle Anthony, the great Joe Ranieri for producing the show in the background, and all of you guys for taking time out of your day. We will see you tomorrow.